a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones, a time to gather them, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search, a time to give up, a time to keep, and a time to throw away, a time to tear, a time to mend, a time to be silent, and a time to speak, a time to love, a time to hate, a time for war, a time for peace. As Jesus approached Jericho, a blind man was sitting by the roadside begging. When he heard the crowd going by, he asked what was happening. They told him, Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. He called out, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Those who led the way rebuked him, told him to be quiet, but he shouted all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. Jesus stopped and ordered the man to be brought to him. When he came near, Jesus asked him, what do you want me to do for you? Lord, I want to receive my sight, he replied. Jesus said to him, receive your sight. Your faith has healed you. Was if you said to me some weeks ago, are you going to watch the Olympics on television? I would have said no. But once you start watching it, you can't believe it. I think the BBC's done a brilliant job. The commentators are great. They fill you in so easily, and they do it so well. They do all the links without any mistakes. But here you are. What fascinates me most, I think, apart from watching the running, some of it's remarkable, amazing, is that you're being introduced to people who tell you that they have spent a large part of their life preparing for the Olympics. Endless hours, maybe agony, some pain, but they have spent so much time getting ready for what may be the one opportunity. And if I gave a caption to the story of Bartimaeus, I would call it the one opportunity. We don't know very much about Bartimaeus. We know that he is blind. We know that in those days, and you find it still in the streets of London, that he was placed at a certain venue outside, a place where people walked to and fro quite easily, with a hat or with whatever they had for people to give. There was a time in London, I lived in London for a long time, though I was born in Cornwall and grew up in Cornwall, where outside every tube station in London you would find a beggar. And then it was discovered, to people's horror, it was discovered that those people who sat outside the tube stations asking for money were placed there by a rather horrible syndicate, by a horrible company of people who patrolled their lives and put them there and took the money and gave them only a small amount of the money which was given to them by the public. And there was a big outcry. But here's Bartimaeus, begging. Like I said, we don't know much about his life, but we know that he cannot see. And you well know, all of you, how valuable your sight is. And not to have sight. But there was Bartimaeus. What chance did he have in life? Nothing. He wasn't living in a modern medical age, which perhaps he might have had something wrong with his sight that the hospital could put right or help him to see to some degree. But he was taken each day by some people and put in a certain position for people to give money. A man with little hope of redemption, little hope of finding the life that people told him. Because obviously if you're blind, there are people who will be telling you about what is happening around you and what is occurring. And in this particular moment, he is conscious, Bartimaeus, that there's a sudden flow of people, and when people come together they make a noise, a sound, and he knows there's something happening but he cannot see, and he asks, "You are Bartimaeus, you are blind. Life is not offering you very much at all." But suddenly somebody says to you, if you place yourself in his position, and it could be you, the man who's passing by is the one who can change your life, Bartimaeus. He is the one who can give you sight. Wow. The one moment, the one opportunity, the unexpected moment has come in his life. And immediately he wants to get in the presence of Jesus. It's an amazing story, because at this point in the story, the followers of Jesus kind of think, "No, Bartimaeus, Jesus doesn't want to talk to you. You're nobody. You're just a beggar sitting in the queue. Go away, leave this man alone. No." The other day, when I was, I can't drive at the moment because I got past the driving test for my eyes at the moment. But anyway, there's a place near here, somebody knows, excuse me, there's a place called Madron. There's a little village, a lovely village. There's nothing much there. If you went there, you'd only spend 2.5 minutes. But anyway, just in case you thought of going to Madron. Madron is a little village near Hemel. And outside the chapel, there's a long row of houses, and a long pavement. And people park along that road. And a few years ago, I motored up happily to Madron, and I saw a space, which is very unusual. And I started to reverse my car into the space. And before I knew what was happening, a man came out of one of the houses nearby and said, "Here, what do you think you're doing?" And I said, "I'm trying to park my car." "You don't live here. You don't live here," he said. "That is my space." But I said, "You already got a space." He said, "You're not going to park here, is it? Because that's not your space. Go somewhere else." And then he saw this. And he suddenly went, "Oh, Father." "Oh, Father," he said, "you should have told me." He said, "That space is yours." He said, "I don't need it till this afternoon anyway." He said, "No, it's all yours." Well, in the story of Bartimaeus, Jesus says he wants to talk to Bartimaeus. And you notice, just like I've just said, they all suddenly change. They go to Bartimaeus. Jesus wants to speak to you. He wants to talk to you. But a minute ago, of course, they told him to go away. But now that Jesus says, "I want to speak to Bartimaeus," it's always yes. Oh, come on. Well, then comes a very strange moment in the story, which has puzzled some biblical commentators. Jesus says to Bartimaeus, "What do you want me to do for you? What do you want me to do for you?" It's rather like the other day, or some months ago, I went to see my doctor, and that is, a special event in your life, you mark it out in your diary. Saw the doctor in person, yes. And I went to see my doctor, and that's the question he asked me. He says, "What do you want me to do for you?" I felt like saying to him, "Well, you've got any special offer today, 2 for 1, 3 for 2, or 3 for 2 medicines, anything, I thought, what's he asking me this question? Why does he ask me this? I said, he knows why I'm here. He's got a note in his book why this patient is here. Why does he ask me? Well, then I realized it's a very subtle way. Not just doctors do this, but they do this. Because the doctor wants to establish a relationship with you. He wants you to feel that he is in charge, of course, but nonetheless, You see, apparently I'm told, and when I investigated later with some doctor friends of mine, that a lot of people go and see the doctor, and the reason they go and see the doctor is they don't tell the doctor. And he has to drag it out of them, because suddenly they get rather worried about what might be the result of what they say. And Jesus says, what do you want me to do for you? Wow. Bartimaeus, this is the one moment. The one moment that can change his life. One big moment like our runner in the Olympics is that one moment when you make a decision, when you're running around that track, as you can see sometimes how these athletes, they know when to push on the pace, but somebody else might push on the pace at the same time. That's very, I find it amazing. I was hooked, like I said, watching it. And I can't think of the name of one of the runners, and she was third or something, and then she suddenly went into the inner lane, and suddenly she went away from everybody. I thought, wow. On the other hand, there are also scenes of people who are athletes crying, and athletes on the ground, desolate. They spent their time, their life for this one moment, and the one moment it hasn't happened for them. They have not won the Olympic gold, they haven't won a silver, they haven't won a bronze. It was the one moment. Maybe they could have done something, maybe they made a mistake at a particular point when they should have won, or they were boxed in because this is Bartimaeus' one moment to receive his sight. One moment in his life. And that's the whole point of this story, and the story of our lives and how we live our lives. Sometimes there is one moment, and you have to take that one moment, and sometimes you don't take that one moment, and it passes you by. But in the gospel of Jesus, the one moment is yours at any moment, at any time. You can say yes to Jesus Christ as your Lord and Saviour. That can be the one moment, the one huge moment in your life that changes you totally, that lives with you forever. I do remember a long time ago, at an evangelistic meeting in Penzance, myself coming forward. And wow, what a huge and incredible difference. And how my life has been guided. My life has been the walk with Jesus as best as I can, as I believe God calls me, and all the things I do to elevate and glorify His name, and to bring people to the knowledge of Jesus. Because all of us, I imagine most of us here this morning, believe in our hearts, deep down in our hearts, in this troubled nation. It almost sounds too simplistic. If only people would adopt and know the love of God in Jesus Christ, who died for us all, whoever, whatever. Bartimaeus, it didn't matter who he was, what he was. It doesn't matter whether he was rich or poor. It doesn't matter about the clothes he wore. It doesn't matter about if he had a bank account, which he wouldn't in those days, or whatever it might be. Nothing else matters. What matters, and that matters in that moment, is that he is there in the presence of Jesus. Wow. You ever think about that? Slightly off the point, but I occasionally think, what would it be like to be in the presence of Jesus? Wow. Would I have words to say? Would I just Gothic, or would I just, wow. Sometimes you're in the presence of somebody and something. I remember, years and years ago, I read the autobiography of Cliff Richard. And I've also remembered being in a particular moment at an event where I was surrounded by some people, and he was there. And this young woman joined the group. So this is Cliff Richard. And she went, completely, she collapsed. I'm not trying to draw an analogy of Cliff and our Lord Jesus, but the point I'm making is, well, to be in his presence. And for Bartimaeus, and you this morning, if you've not received Christ, can receive him this morning. It is your moment. It is your calling, your time in your life to say yes, 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 yes. You are in the moment, you are in the situation, you are in the spot, you are in the time when God calls you. And I pray, if you've not received Jesus, maybe, I don't know, you might have just dropped in for all I know this morning. You're here in St.Ives. You see this place, this beautiful place. And you come through the door. I don't know. If that's the case, I hope this morning this will be your moment